What's your baseball philosophy? What gets you so far?
Really, just trying to stay consistent and have fun with it. I think that's the main thing. Try not to, get too high, too low, and just play your game.
Now, when you're hitting, do you have a hitting philosophy you use against every pitcher, or does it change pitcher to pitcher?
For the most part, yeah. You always want to keep it the same, no matter who's pitching. Keep the same approach. If you try to change your approach, all the time, I think, it's not going to do you any good in the long run.
Now, a lot of times they talk about first-round draft picks, and obviously they have a lot of talent. But sometimes once they get into professional baseball, they're getting passed up by guys drafted in the later rounds. Why does that happen?
Really, if you were to see like a first rounder versus a later round guy on the field, sometimes you wouldn't even be able to decipher the two. It's usually just one tool that might set them apart. Maybe it's projectability. Maybe somebody has good size or just throws hard. So, but at this level, there's maybe it's a little bit of difference, but guys are usually pretty even.
Now, spring training, every team brings in more guys to compete with you at that major league level. They sign more free agents, draft more guys. How do you approach that?
You can't really approach it any different. You got to go out every day and do your thing, and there's always going to be a draft. There's always going to be people signed. That's the organization's job. They're trying to win, so you can't do anything about that.
Now, baseball has a lot of injuries, a lot of failure, up and down in the organization. Has there ever been a time that you wanted to quit baseball?
No, I've had a couple injuries, but you'll know when the time comes. When it's time to give it up. But no, I've never wanted to quit. No.
What are some things about pro baseball you learned the hard way that nobody told you about?
The hardest thing you have to deal with, in this game is failure for sure. But I always, that growing up, you succeed 3 out of 10 times. You're doing pretty well. So. But yeah, failure is definitely the toughest thing to deal with. Some guys handle it better than others, so it's different from person to person.
Now, once you sign a contract, you're a professional baseball player. Was there a time before that did you realize that you were going to play professional baseball?
Probably, I'd say about my sophomore year in college. I thought I had a pretty good shot, and luckily it's worked out pretty well so far.
Now, you read the scouting reports, Baseball America, where everybody talks about you or ranks you and things like that?
No, not at all. Never.
Anybody call you? Hey, mom and dad calls. Hey, this is what I read about you.
Yeah, sometimes they'll say, I've read this and that about you, but try not to pay attention to that because honestly, it doesn't mean anything.
How about the fans? People yelling and screaming at you. How do you handle that?
Try to just go one in one ear and out the other. Try not to let any of that get into your head. Just go out there and focus on the game.
How about the umpires? How do you handle the umpires?
Baseball is baseball. They're gonna, get the majority of the calls right, but there's gonna be some missed. But nobody's perfect, and it's part of the game. That's what makes it exciting sometimes. So.
You think you will realize that, or did you realize that right off when you started playing baseball?
What's that?
That the umpires will make a mistake, and
you obviously learn that as you go through the game. So. It is what it is.
What would you tell a high school baseball player if he asks you, hey, how do I get there?
Just keep working hard. Never know what can happen. Some guys don't develop till later in high school. Some guys don't even develop till later in college. So just try to get better every day and work on something every time you go out there.
All right, man.